What up, everyone? So, special video for a special occasion. I actually wanted to do a video on all the things I got at Evo. I picked up a lot of really cool stuff. I was hoping to do a video on that, and then our water heater broke in my garage, so it's been a big mess, so I wasn't able to record when I finally have something to record. The reason I'm here today is I want to do a review of the Deadpool Merc Club Loot Crate box. And it's been so long since I've done an individual box review, but I always said before, if it's a brand new box, I want to give it its own video. And considering I have a lot more free time nowadays, that I might just start getting back into individual box reviews just because I can now. And I kind of miss it, honestly. So I want to make sure if it's a brand new box and it's the first time we're seeing it, I want to give it its own video and a chance for people to see this specific review just instead of going through the whole month review thing. It's nice for a new box to have a review just on its own. So this will still be in the monthly review, and I'm going to try out some new boxes in the future, so those will probably get individual videos too. Other than that, it'll just be the monthly reviews. And for those who are interested in the things I picked up at Evo, I got some really cool stuff, artwork and things like that. I'll post that on social media, probably Instagram or something like that, so excuse me, follow me on any form of social media to stay updated on that. In the meantime, we got the Deadpool Merc Club Loot Crate box. And for those of you who don't want to watch the whole video, I'll sum it up right now. This box sucked. It was not good at all. So we'll get into it, and I've already unboxed it, so we're not going to go through that whole process. I'm just going to start talking about the items, and we'll talk about the value as we go through them. The first item we got here, since it's already out, was the shirt. So there's what the shirt looks like. Get up close. So this one, you know, wasn't anything too special. The shirts in the box is always at the same value, like $12 to $15. It's hard to give it a very specific value, but as far as the shirt itself, the quality on it is actually pretty decent. So that's one thing I give credit to Loot Crate. Not all the time, but a lot of times they actually do pretty decent shirts. Most boxes do such shitty ones. They get those really cheap Gildan blank shirts and print on them, whereas Loot Crate actually does their own, and they're partners with Marvel, so they have their own loot wear, and the shirt quality is nice. Like, it's nice material. It's actually pretty fitted, so that's something that's good about it. As far as the design of the shirt, it's okay. Like, it's nothing that special. There's so many Deadpool shirts out there, and I'm kind of glad it's not a crossover, but there's so many different Deadpool shirts out there. It's kind of a tough standard to meet. So, and the design in this one's pretty simple. It looks very basic. It looks like a very simple job that was done in Photoshop, and it's not very detailed, and it's just him, you know, with the taco. It's nothing very clever or anything like that. So the design on the shirt is just okay. But I like the fit of it. And one thing else that I don't know if you noticed, they actually put a little emblem down here. And this feels kind of like a sticker. I tried to peel it off and it didn't, but it's not sewn on either. So I'm hoping it stays through the wash. But I actually like that. I like that they put this little patch down here. And you know, it is just advertising the box, but it's not like a straight up advertisement just because it kind of says Deadpool Club Merc, so that's not too bad as far as like advertisement. But I actually like that they put that on there. It was just a little touch that makes it a little bit different and a little bit special, because we get so many shirts and boxes, it's nice to have something set itself aside, even with minor little details like that. So I like that they added that on there. And again, I hope it stays on through the wash because it feels kind of cheap, but we'll see. So overall score on the shirt, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because the design could have been much better, could have been much cooler, could have been much more detailed, but the fit was nice, the quality is nice. I like that they added the little patch that kind of sets themselves aside and made it go from just a random shirt to something that's actually a shirt that I might wear now, so which is pretty rare from these boxes. So I very much like that, and yeah, so that's the shirt, 8 out of 10. Now we'll get into the items of the box. So the main item in here, the first one, was our Deadpool Geeky Tiki. So this is an exclusive, but this is something that actually already exists. So they actually already had a Deadpool Geeky Tiki that they made, the company made, and I'm surprised this company's still around, honestly. The gimmick is kind of past, and they just keep making more. But the original one was just solid red, which I think looks so stupid, and that's why I don't like these, because they're usually one solid color, and half the time it's hard to tell what the character is when it's just one color, because when you look at them, they're not very detailed. The picture on the front is a lot more detailed than the actual cup is. We'll pull it out and I'll show you. So yeah, the details are kind of lost there. They're not very well done. They're carved in there, but you have to really get up close and see it. The swords are pretty obvious, but the rest of it is just the details don't stand out that much. So if it didn't have that black part on it, it would be hard to tell what character it is. So that's the only thing that made it exclusive, is that little bit of black paint, and that's all you really needed to at least tell who the figure was. But without that, I think it looks ridiculous. You wouldn't be able to tell who it was unless you really got close. And it was the same thing like years ago when they put the Yondu one in there. You couldn't tell who it was. Even when I looked at it, I didn't know who it was. I had to look at the card to see what the character was. So if they did more of that black paint, because honestly Deadpool's just red and black, if they did a little more black down here and maybe some of the swords, I think it would be fine. I think it would be a good quality product. But because they don't put enough paint variation and the details aren't as well defined, I'm just not a fan of these. I never have been. The only ones that I thought were okay were the Ninja Turtles ones, and that's because, you know, Ninja Turtles don't have a lot of color. They just have their colored masks. So it was acceptable for those, but any other character I've seen in the Geeky Tikis is just not great. They don't look that good. They're not that well done, and it's kind of hard if you even wanted to sell it. So that's, like I said, the black part's the only thing that made it exclusive, and I've never been a fan of them. I don't think very many people are either. They're okay. It's not bad. It's not like you can't still use it. It's just, me personally, if I hadn't gotten this box, I wouldn't go out of my way to get this one or pretty much any of the other ones. And I think that's the same story for a lot of people. They look okay and they're cool to see as like novelty purposes, but I can't imagine people really going too much out of their way to specifically get something like this. So as far as the value on this, the original one of this size, they usually retail for about $20. And this one really shouldn't be much different. Honestly, I would not personally pay more than $10 for that. I think that's what it's worth, but the retail value is $20. I don't even think you could get that selling it though. So, and the fact that it's exclusive, I'll bring the value up a little bit. I'll give it like a $20 to $25 value. I think that's what, yeah. $20 to $25, because I don't really think it should get much more value even for that little bit of black paint. And again, I looked online, and I don't think a lot of people got this box. There aren't that many people selling it, and so yeah, $20 to $25 on that. Our next main item was an apron. And this is something that Loot Crate has done before too, which again, I'm not really a fan of. It's just not that practical. Me personally, I know there are some people that use aprons, but I've never used an apron in my life. I've never known anyone to use an apron in their life. I've never even seen anyone in my entire life use an apron. And maybe that's just where I'm from. I'm down on the West Coast here in Southern California. Maybe we just don't use them down here. I don't know. Maybe they're popular elsewhere, and people in the comments can sound off if they use them a lot or if they know a lot of people that use them. But in my personal experience, I really haven't seen much purpose for them. And I know they have a purpose, but I guess, I don't know. I've never known anyone to use it. And everyone in my family cooks. My mom cooks, my aunt, my grandma, like everyone cooks, but nobody uses an apron. I don't know. Maybe it's just a thing around here that we don't use them, but they're just not that practical. A shirt is something that everyone can use. An apron is something that everyone can use, but most people probably wouldn't. And again, the design on it is very, very basic. There's pretty much no variation to it. It's just solid colors, and it's Deadpool in a hat. It looks fine. It doesn't look bad or anything, but there's just not that much to it. And these aprons are really, really cheap to buy online. Not this one specifically, but you can go online and find them as cheap as like $3 to $5 because there are so many companies that these don't have to be fitted or anything. They're not like t-shirts. They literally are just a piece of cloth with a tie in the back, so they're incredibly easy to make. People can get the blank ones and screen print on there, and they're just extremely easy to make. So you can find them for like $3 to $5 online with all kinds of prints on there, with superhero prints, with pretty much anything you can think of, or get them custom made for a few dollars more. So I'm going to be generous on this one, and I'm going to give it, on the low end, $5, but on the high end, $10. So $5 to $10 rating if you wanted this one specifically, but I don't know why you would. If me personally, I'd value it more at $5, but I guess someone might pay as much as $10 if they really wanted this one specifically. But like I said, there's so many out there. I can't imagine anyone wanting to seek that one out when there are hundreds of other Deadpool apron designs for half the price. So I kind of got to take that into consideration. But that's me. I'm not a big fan of that, but maybe some other people are. Next, what else we got here? So we only got a few more items. Next, we got some air fresheners. So the same design as the apron, Deadpool with his little like mariachi hat. And we got 2 of them, so that's that. And these really don't have much value. Again, these are just like the apron. There are millions of designs out there, and they're incredibly cheap. So again, if you wanted these ones specifically, you might have to pay a little bit for them. But in general, you can find air fresheners of all shapes and sizes, any character you want, from anywhere from like $3 to $5. But these are exclusive, so again, I'll be generous and give it a little more value. I'll put it at 5 to 7 because we did get 2, and I guess it is an exclusive design. But again, they're air fresheners. So if someone really wanted these ones specifically, it would cost them a little more. But again, why would you go out of your way to try and purchase these specific ones online when there are a million other ones just like it for half the price? So same situation as the apron. But again, being generous for the fact that they did make it exclusive, 5 to 7. Now, next we got a lanyard. And lanyards, again, very common, just like the air freshener, something we see in boxes a lot because they're just really easy to make. They're incredibly easy to make. And this one didn't come with a keychain on it. So if they come with a little additional like enamel keychain or something like that, they're usually 10 or more. But since it's just the lanyard with the plastic here, I'm only going to value this at about 5 to 7. If, like I said, usually when you see these in stores, like if you go to Hot Topic or something like that, they'll have these, but they'll have an additional key ring on there with the character on there. So that's why those are a little more expensive. Whereas just the lanyard in this is usually not expensive at all. Almost always less than 10. But again, lanyards are so common, you can find these online for like $2 or $3. And again, in every shape and size, they're just very common and easy to get. But I'll be generous, it's exclusive, 5 to 7. The last thing we got in here was a pin. Now, they actually did a good job on the pin. It's not incredible. The design's, it's pretty basic. There's nothing super special about it. So it's the Deadpool symbol, but instead of the black part, they got little tacos. So, I mean, it's kind of clever. There's not a lot of detail on it, and it's okay. So, this one, they're always pretty hard to give value to. Pins can go for a lot, but, even the nicest of pins, I can't see it going for much more than, like, $12. Like, that's even for, like, the highest quality of pin, unless they're rare or something. But for just a generic one, even a good one, I can't see it going for much more than 12. And this one's not super great, and they made a bunch of them. So I'm going to put this anywhere from like 5 to 10 bucks. A generous appraisal of it would probably be closer to 10, but then again, pins are also very easy to make. I've been trying to get my own made, and I just keep forgetting about it. I want to eventually, but they're not that hard to do. They're not that hard to make. Even the most common person can get them made, and if you do, you could easily sell them for less than $5. But, it is exclusive. There is some design quality to it, so 5 to 10 bucks on that. And then some other things to mention that don't really have any value was they kind of put this picture in here, and it could have been passed off as a print, but it was also the description card. So I'm not really sure why they did that. I would have thought they would have tried to pawn this off as an art print like they usually do and just put it on some nicer cardstock, but for some reason they put it as a description card. I wouldn't have appreciated it anymore. I think it would have been worthless still, but I'm just surprised the company didn't, because usually they want to put anything they can in there and pawn it off as something. So I'm surprised they didn't try to make this into an art print. But, playing devil's advocate, it's a very nice description card. It's one of the nicer description cards I've seen, so they did a good job on that. But unfortunately, because it is only the description card, there's no value there, and I don't think anyone would consider this an art print because of it the way it is. And the other thing is the boxes. Loot Crate always does that. They make their boxes into something special. You can usually turn them inside out and fold them into something. And this one folds into the Deadpool taco truck, as you can see right there. Again, it doesn't really have any value to it. It's just nice little perks that they do. So Loot Crate's nice in putting those little tweaks in there. So it's appreciated. So that is cool, but, it doesn't give it any value. So let's talk about the overall value and impressions of the box. So like I said, very underwhelmed by this box. Value-wise, with my very generous appraisals, on the low end it's going to be 52, and on the high end, the very high end, which I do not believe it's worth, would be 74. But giving my honest value of these things, the values are what they should be worth, and they're only worth what you could sell them as. And I think, honestly, most of the things in here you couldn't sell even if you tried. I think you would spend more money shipping it somewhere than you would even get from it selling it on eBay. The shirt, it was decent quality. I'll give them credit for that. The pin was cool. The Tiki you could sell. I think there are. It's a very limited market, but you could. The regular Deadpool one's been out for a while, so there's not many people that would probably want this one, but the fact that it's exclusive, if someone didn't have it, you might be able to fetch like 25 or so for it, maybe. But again, like I was saying, if I were to see this in a store, I don't think I'd pay more than 10 for it, and that's if I even wanted to pay for it. And the apron, same thing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not bad. These items are not bad. It's just they're so common and so generic. I don't think anyone would go out of their way to buy these exclusive ones when there are ones that look exactly like it online for a fraction of the price that are just as good in quality, if not better. So the same thing with the apron and the air fresheners and the lanyard. They're just too common, and there wasn't anything special about them, just like the Deadpool one. It's just kind of says Deadpool, and then it says the Merc Club, which is this box. So it's more advertisement for them than it is an item. And the air fresheners, I don't think anyone will buy, but I think everyone can use, I guess. So more of the same stuff. There just almost is no value realistically on it. So that's why the values I gave is generous. It's being nice on the high end, but being realistic, I think it'd be worth, if you actually tried to sell stuff, much less than $50. Now the price of this box is where it gets crazy, and this is where I can't believe that Loot Crate does this. It's this box, depending on where you are, what state you're in, where you live, shipping, and your state tax, it's anywhere from about 40 to 50, somewhere in there. I think for me in California, it was about 48, I think. I'd have to look at the exact numbers, but it should be right around that mid-40 range. So that's a lot. That's very expensive. And even though it's quarterly, so it doesn't come around that often, that's still a lot of money. That's a lot of money to spend, and it was nowhere near double the value. Nowhere near that. Not even close to it. Even on my very generous appraisal, which you would never fetch that money for, even if you were incredibly lucky, that's still only 50% more than you paid for. Realistically, you're probably getting barely what you paid for, and that's if you keep all the items. If you didn't like something in it, you're kind of shit out of luck, because I don't think you'd be able to resell any of this and make any of your money back. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think I'll keep a lot of this stuff, but I honestly don't think I could sell it either. So I'll probably do giveaways for it and just give it out to the fans or whatever. So for me, I would put a realistic value at only like $30 to $40, which is much less than I paid for it. And that's kind of the story of all Loot Crate's boxes, except their original one. Their original one is so different from all the other ones. It's incredibly cheap, has incredible value. The items that have been kind of going downhill, but for the longest time they were great items, and they packed a lot in there for such a cheap price, and they had a referral program. All the other boxes they do, which there are like 25 of them now, all different themes that are very, very specific, are incredibly expensive, do not give you the value, are very generic and cheap stuff, and I just don't understand. I wish they did all their other boxes like they do their original box. Their original box is done so well. I wish they could do a Deadpool box like that. Make it 20 bucks and give $50 to $60 worth of value. I really wish they would, but they haven't. And I've tried DX, I've tried Loot Anime, I've tried this Deadpool one, I tried the Sanrio one, and it's almost always the exact same story. You're lucky to get a little more than you paid for, and you're lucky to get something cool and exclusive. As always, this was late and I've already paid for the next month, so I always get at least like 2 or 3 of the boxes, even if they suck, even if they're expensive. It's not about me. The point is to share the information with you guys, so we'll see at least a couple more of this, because, you know, I'm still a huge Deadpool fan, but I didn't have much faith in it to begin with. Even if you watch my earlier videos talking about this, I had very little to no faith in this box, and I was pretty much right on the money with it, because that's just what the company does with these specific boxes that they do. And, you know, the whole Deadpool thing is just, like I said at the beginning, it's a very high standard to meet. There's so much Deadpool stuff out there. He's one of, if not the most popular Marvel character out there, which I know sounds crazy to say, but the movies did incredibly well. The character was incredibly popular before it. And if you go anywhere, literally anywhere that has superhero stuff, there's almost always Deadpool. You can't count on any character always being there, because the popular ones always change. Sometimes it's Spider-Man, sometimes it's Wolverine, sometimes it's the Avengers, depending on what movie's out. But Deadpool's always there. There's always something Deadpool. There's always a Deadpool collectible. Marvel Collector Corps did a Deadpool one, and they're doing another one for the ones they sell on Amazon. This one's a Deadpool box. There's just so much stuff out there. They really need to do something special to set themselves aside. There's so much good quality stuff out there that this mediocre stuff just isn't cutting it. If it was a more obscure character, sure, anything would be cool. But the fact that there's just so much out there, the market is so flooded with Deadpool stuff, that they really need to step it up. They need to do some better collectibles, and I'm sure they're not going to do anything pop because the Marvel Collector Corps already does that. But they need to make some better partnerships, more than geeky tiki stuff, and I don't know. I have pretty much no hope in it. So overall, I'm going to give this box, again, being generous, a 4 out of 10. I think that's being very generous in giving it that score because, like I said, my realistic value of it, just me personally, is much lower than that. But I have to make it fair and try to make it for everyone. So this gets a 4 out of 10. So like I said at the beginning of the video, honestly, not worth it at all. You barely get your money's worth. You'd be so much better off using that same money and just picking out Deadpool things online, or finding somewhere that has a discount, or even going to like Target or something like that that sells the shirts for 10 and 12 bucks that are very nice quality, that have very nice designs. You're so much better off doing that. So I don't recommend this box, but we will be seeing more in the future. We'll see this again in the monthly review and the months to come. Most likely it'll just be in the monthly review, but you know, you never know. I may, if some people still want to see individual box reviews, I may just make more videos of that. And again, I'm kind of rambling here, so I'll wrap it up. This was the Deadpool box by Loot Crate. Not really worth it. 4 out of 10 on the box, 8 out of 10 on the shirt. Other than that, follow me on social media to see some collectibles that I got, and we'll see you in the monthly review, which will be coming up very shortly because the boxes have all shown up this month, so that's good. So more to come. Thank you all for watching. Love you all. Peace.